Hi, this is Robert Colquhoun, Director of International Campaigns.
Por la vida en Colombia está lleno de frutos.
Geschlossen und manche dann sagen, ja, es ist nicht mehr so.
People start saying that, if your thoughts fall foul of the popular opinion, that they're somehow criminal.
Mi hija ha decidido no abortar.
Our freedom in a democracy, in our open society, begins with the freedom of speech.
Ante todo, los pilares de 40 días, ¿no? La oración, el ayuno, la yoga.
So sometimes it's just a little thing that we have to do. So
también dignidad, que son creados también por
But
Dios.
beyond what we say, anything we do at 40 Days for Life, anything we say to defend the unborn, we do with love.
Los bebés no tienen que ser abortados de una madre.
40 Days for Life International Podcast.
El podcast de 40 días por la vida internacional.
Hola a todos queridos amigos, soy Lourdes Varela de 40 días por la vida en Iberoamérica y estoy aquí con Robert Colquhoun.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Muy bueno. Soy muy feliz en México.
Estamos
ahorita.
en México. We drink tequila actually. Not right now, yesterday.
That's it.
You have to try it. And Robert is also my co-host in podcast, and he also is the international leader of 40 Days for Life. He managed all the countries in Europe, Africa,
That's
Asia.
right.
Wow.
Well, what you've done here in Latin America is absolutely phenomenal, Lourdes, and your hospitality is impeccable. We love the food here. We love loved your welcome here, but it's been amazing. You've been to almost every single Latin American country, and this is what we need to do with the rest of the world as well. We need 200-300 campaigns in Africa, and I feel we're on the cusp of a breakthrough of some really exciting developments. So to be here for a conference for 250 people is really exciting, and there's so much good that you've done, and there's so much more to come. It's like we're at the beginning, at the end of abortion, and suddenly 2-3 years on, all these opportunities open up, and that's what I've seen on the international side. I always say it's like having a front row seat, seeing God's grace in action, doing this work, and wow, it's great to be here. It's really exciting, and what you've done here, I'll take the inspiration of what you've done in Latin America back to Europe, back to Asia, back to Africa, and say, look, they've done this in Latin America, you can do this here too. So I think that's a big part of being here at the conference today, is to learn what's happened in other places, but we are a locally organised campaign, and it's up to the people in the local community to make the difference. So if they can do something in America, if they can do it in Latin America, they can do it in Europe. So that's always been the message.
I'm really astonished with what you have done in Europe and Asia, and I would like to know, because I'm curious, how can you communicate? Because I don't know, here in Latin America we all speak Spanish, and with the Spain people in Portugal, okay, we can talk portuñol, like Portuguese and Espanol, but you speak in Japanese, in Korean.
Yeah.
Wow. And how many countries do you have? In how many languages?
So we had 23 countries in the last campaign, over 90 campaigns in total, and of course Latin America is one language across the whole area. So you've got one faith, one language, so you can go viral quickly.
Yeah. One culture.
That's right. The culture is quite similar. So you've got cultural boundaries, you've got national boundaries, and then you've got language boundaries as well. So none of those are impediments. We share the same faith, we share the same mission, but then there's enculturation. How do you enculturate 40 Days for Life into different countries? Yeah. And the mission trip to Asia was absolutely phenomenal. Really, really inspiring. South Korea, they've just had their Roe versus Wade moment there, and people are alive. It's a sophisticated country, people are well educated there, but they've just made a start, and then we've got the whole country to expand to. So they're surrounded by North Korea, China, lots of different countries, difficult places, but we can proclaim the gospel of life in so many different countries. And I went on to Taiwan. There was a march for 2,000 people there. The country's only 4% Christian, but the leader had a campaign of 1,000 people for her first time effort. So it just shows the hunger, the interest, the passion that people have for pro-life. It doesn't matter which country you're in, it's applicable anywhere. So, Britain, we've had campaigns for 13 years now. So, 25 different locations, and it's a secular place, and we're getting persecuted now. So
yes, how is it with the buffer zones?
The mission continues, and I'm full of hope. And when we're being challenged in so many different ways, it's a question of our faith, of our resolution, of our perseverance, of our trust in God. And we've got to trust in God beyond measure. A friend of mine compared pro-life work to having a pickaxe and hitting ice on a frozen lake. And you're pickaxing away for 10 years, not a lot's happening, and then suddenly cracks develop. And then before you know it, the whole lake just cracks through, and the ice is broken. You have a massive breakthrough, and that's what they had in America a couple of years ago. And again, if it happens there, it can happen in the UK. The pro-abortionists are scared that kind of thing could happen. So if we're getting persecuted, there's not much more. They can arrest our leaders, they can make silent prayer criminal, but then what else can you do beyond that? And you keep praying, the prayer's really working. They can't do anything beyond that. And so, we're going to continue to have breakthroughs. We have beautiful stories of conversations with post-abortion women coming up to volunteers in the street, and whether we're outside the hospital or slightly down the road, great conversations are happening, and we're on fire. There's so many good things happening. So onwards and upwards, we've got a lot of growth to happen on the international side, and I feel we're at the cusp of breakthrough time as well. So it's like you've gone viral across Latin America, and you're everywhere, and we're like a jigsaw in Europe. We're filling in the countries that are not, we haven't had on board so far. They're more secular, they're harder to get on board. Yeah. But when they do, Poland are on board now, France are really close, Holland just got on board, Italy. So suddenly if we get 3 nationwide campaigns in those 3 countries, which the evidence is that we will do, then wow, suddenly it's like, a lot more wheels have started turning.
Yeah, and I'm sure that this is growing, because the faith is the same with the apostles. They started just 12, and they didn't speak all the languages. And the first continent to be Catholic, it was Europe.
Europe, yeah.
and then with evangelization, it was America. And now we are like getting back to the favor to teach you the faith. Well, because you cannot lose it.
That's right. Well, missionaries from Europe took the gospel to Africa, and now missionaries from Africa are taking the gospel back to Europe. So Europe is heavily secularized. But if you look at 40 Days for Life in the UK, all the things that have happened in the United States, the babies saved, the abortion clinics closing.
The first Mary stops. Yeah. That was in England. It closed.
That's right. The 2 clinics in central London closed. It's all the things that we saw in America that have happened. They've all happened in the UK. So
how many years was that building open? The Mary Steps.
So there's a blue plaque outside on the building. So it's like a historic building, and Mary Stopes was providing contraception services in Upper Holloway. Right in the 1920s, 1930s, and prior to the Second World War, and then it moved to central London. So it's been running for decades. Yeah.
100 years.
Yeah, it's been running for decades, and we've had legalised abortion for 50 years now.
And now that building is closed. Well, that Mary Steps.
That's right. It closed. So yeah, I mean,
after how many campaigns?
Well, we had 7 campaigns outside BPAS in central London, and then we had a continuous prayer vigil going there for us. We started our first campaign in 2010, and it was like 9 years later that actually happened. So to God be the glory. All these victories have happened. We've seen 7 abortion centres closed. Really the impact has been on a nationwide basis, and I'm excited. I'm in awe what's going to happen next, and we're being tested by fire right now with persecution. But I think at some point there's going to be a much bigger breakthrough, and I believe in that and trust in that, and we're waiting to see that happen. So Europe is heavily secularized, but that doesn't mean there's great opportunities for evangelization. So apologetics, another huge topic for us, of training people up, how to speak about pro-life issues, how to communicate that. You get 1 volunteer, they can have a conversation with hundreds of people in the street, and that's just 1 volunteer. Think about a whole movement, 1,000 people. So we've got a lot to learn, a lot to grow, and onwards and upwards, as I always say.
This is a battle from God. And once I got asked, why do you embrace 40 Days for Life here in Mexico? This is coming from the US, so and you are embracing it. And I said, okay, they are not teaching me how to pray, but they are teaching me all the organization, the logistics, and this is very good to spread the message, because there is something that we already believe, that is faith. And now we are not teaching about God, but at the same time we are remember the people how to pray. So many people just forgot it because they don't care, I think. I don't know, what have you seen in Europe? Why people forgot about their roots, their Christian roots, and how can people recover it and back to God? And when we're back to God, I know miracles happen, but
yeah, well, 40 Days for Life is going back to basics. Like, you know, if we've forgotten who we are, we've forgotten who God is, we've forgotten what prayer is, and just to go and stand and pray in public, you know, this is something that's beneficial for your spiritual life. If people say, oh, this is an American thing, but, you know, this is organised by local people.
Yes.
It's a local campaign. It's not American in any sense of the word. The local campaign is organised by local people. So it is a locally organised community initiative. So just inviting people to go and pray. I've heard people that found their vacation through 40 Days for Life, people who found their husband or wife through 40 Days for Life. Just going back to basics of praying, turning to God, that a lot of people say they grew spiritually as a result of participating. So, you know, and that's on top of all the other benefits of seeing the outreach to others. And it's evangelical by standing in the street, going outside of your comfort zone. That's what makes this campaign so great, is it's based on prayer, and the whole point is God, and the whole point is prayer. So we don't get that, we don't get anything. And prayer is so essential for our relationship to God. If we don't get prayer right, then, you know, how can we have order and structure in all the other parts of our life? So to go out and pray publicly, go out of your comfort zone. Somebody might tell you you're a ninny or whatever it is, like in the public zone of, like, they might tell you you're you know, doing the wrong thing or what have you. That's great to be challenged and to go outside of yourself to evangelize and reach other people. When we do that, then God can use us profoundly, and then we can regulate our relationship with God, and then from that lots of breakthroughs and transformations are possible. We had one volunteer, and he was just handing out leaflets to like 100 people in 1 hour, and like he reached 100 people in 1 hour. The simple just offering a leaflet, and some people cursed him, some people blessed him, but you know, that faithfulness was amazing. Another volunteer reached out to 4 post-abortive women over a few hours. You know, it's just one person. That's what one person can do. So, you know, when we scale that and think, you know, we would love to see what you've done here in Latin America. There's no reason why they can't happen in Africa on a much bigger level. Of things are less developed there. There's more challenges there, but there's no reason we can't get apologetics going on a bigger level, that we can't have hundreds of campaigns. You know, what you focus on is what you get in life. And so with 40 Days, we focus on prayer, focus on God. You know, and then when we do that, okay, now we're ready to see to align the world according to His values and get back to basics. You know, we're talking about the killing of unborn children. Get back to basics. It's like, this is not right. We've got to tangibly do something about this, and that's what we're doing.
And I'm so eager to spread the word, because this is very important for the change of the heart of everyone. I want my country change. I want a conversion of all Mexico and all England and all Latin America, but we cannot get to that if we don't pray. So I want to invite you to pray, but also, I don't know, do we have enough time to ask one more question?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's why I'm very eager to spread the word, because we need a conversion. And I want to ask you very, very briefly, because this is very important. Robert had a conversion. And can you share a little bit about how was that? And how now, after the conversion, you also joined 40 Days for Life. How was it?
So I grew up in a Christian family. I was Church of England, Anglican. And then age 21, I became a Catholic. So I was received into the Catholic Church when I was at university at age 21. And then I had a lot of zeal, I had a lot of passion for the faith. I tried my vocation as a priest. And then I worked as a missionary in Canada for a year, putting on retreats for young people, and I worked for the pro-life movement, worked for the anti-euthanasia campaign for a year. I did talks in schools. So I had, at university I thought I was going to work in the city, in the banking industry. I did an internship there, but God had other ideas and other plans. So for 20 years I've been a Catholic now, and it's been an incredible adventure. You know, God's taken me to countries all over the world, to so many different places. And
are your family happy with that?
yes, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, my wife, we've got 5 children now, and yeah, you know, it's like, and yeah, I want Britain to become, you know, to get back to the faith. 500 years ago, I can't wait to go to the Shrine of Guadalupe. Can't wait to go to the Shrine of Guadalupe here. I think 500 years ago, Protestant Reformation was happening in Europe, and you know, 9 million people lost the faith in Europe. And at the same time in Mexico, you know, there were like 9 million conversions at the time of, you know, when Mexico was evangelized. So,
I didn't know that.
So there was this big change like 500 years ago. But you know, I want Britain to go back to being a Christian country, to having Christian values. And we can't do that if we're killing innocent unborn children. There's 10 million abortions happen in 50 years in Britain. A city the size of London is missing from our country numerically on the number of abortions that have happened. So God's heart grieves for the wounds and the pain and the sin of abortion, and there's millions of people that we can reach who've had abortions alone, let alone who are going to have abortions in the future. So our mission is vast, you know, in the United Kingdom alone, let alone every country in the world. There's so much good that we can do, and if we focus on reaching one person at a time, reaching one leader at a time, one country at a time, we've seen record-breaking campaigns, but there's more. There's always more. There's growth. There's and wow, this conference is amazing here, and I think, you know, we just keep getting better and we keep going upwards, and in that way God can use us more and more over time.
Well, a final invitation, I want to invite all of you to join to the body of Christ, because we are millions, because this is an evangelization, a pray, and if you pray, God, well, then that doesn't need us, but if you pray, peace come. So I want Christ reigns in your country, in my country, in all the world. Then peace and justice will come for everyone. So join 40 Days for Life, take your shift and change the world. Bye.
Thank you.
No te pierdas los podcasts de 40 días por la vida internacional, con entrevistas, reportajes y testimonios de todo el mundo.
Don't miss our podcasts with interviews, news, and reports from around the world.